He was only 2 years old when he began describing how he died in World War II. At first, his parents thought it was just a child's imagination, but then the details came. Today we're going to look at the incredible case of a boy who remembered his past life as a World War II pilot. The pilot in question was James Leininger from Louisiana. When James was just 2 years old, he began having nightmares. He would cry out in his sleep and say, "I'm on fire. I can't get out of the plane. I'm going to die." Naturally, his parents assumed these were just the nightmares of a troubled toddler. However, as time went on, James began to piece together more of the dream, and what he told his parents shocked them. He said he was once a pilot that flew a Corsair fighter off an aircraft carrier called Natoma Bay. One day his plane began to have engine trouble. He tried to fix it, but the plane began to fall out of the sky. That's when he knew he was going to die. He bailed out, but was shot down near Iwo Jima and killed. His parents listened in disbelief as their son described how he and his crew tried to flag down a passing submarine, but it didn't see them, and they were attacked by Japanese soldiers and killed. James even named some of the fellow pilots he claimed to have flown with. His parents were skeptical, to say the least. But as James got older, he only became more adamant about his past life. In fact, by the time he was 4, he had the whole story figured out. Not only did he remember being shot down, he also remembered the name of the ship he flew from, the Natoma Bay, the Corsair fighter he piloted, and even some of his crewmates. His parents were shocked. They never would have believed him if they hadn't seen the evidence for themselves. In 1991, James's dad, a Baptist minister, began researching his son's claims. What he found is nothing short of astonishing. It turns out that there really was a pilot who died in the exact way James described. Not only that, but the aircraft carrier Natoma Bay was real, and it was commanded by a man named John Cramelin. And yes, that was the name of one of the men James had claimed to be his crewmate. But surely this was just a coincidence, right? Not exactly. You see, James had also mentioned a third crew member, a man named Jimmy, and it just so happened that John Cramelin's co-pilot on the Natoma Bay was also named Jimmy. What's more, there was a report of a pilot bailing out of a damaged Corsair fighter over Iwo Jima in 1945. The pilot was never identified. But James described exactly where and when this supposed pilot would have died, which was later confirmed by historians. The coincidences don't end there either. James had also described the layout of the ship in great detail, as well as the insignia that hung outside the pilot's ready room. His description of the emblem, which was a circle with an anchor and a pair of wings, was so detailed that historians were able to track down the man who designed it. And believe it or not, he confirmed James's story. So how is this possible? How could a 4-year-old boy who was born decades after the war have such detailed knowledge of something he supposedly lived through 50 years prior? Well, there are those who claim this is proof of reincarnation. After all, how else could a boy so young know so much about a plane crash that happened in 1945? Of course, others aren't so convinced. Some say there was a simple explanation. Maybe James overheard some men talking about the war, or maybe he read about it somewhere. Perhaps he was just a very smart kid with an interest in history. But those who have looked into this case have been unable to come up with a good theory. Historians and skeptics have tried to write it off as a case of a child misremembering information. But given the technical accuracy of James's descriptions, that doesn't seem likely. How could a child possibly know how a World War II aircraft worked, let alone the way it would break apart during a crash? To this day, James's story remains one of the most famous examples of a past life memory. Some say it proves reincarnation. Others see it as an unsolvable mystery. But what do you think? Do you believe this boy was remembering his past life? Or does this have another explanation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And remember to stay tuned for more videos like these. Thanks for watching.